If you're wondering where that name comes from, this analysis had been used first by the chemical company DuPont sometime in 1930s. It's kind of rather useful. It it says normally we want to look at return on equity. As a shareholder, that's what I'm interested in. Let's say that number is high or low. Is it high because I have a high profit margin? I make a lot of money per unit of sales. Or is it high because I'm very efficient? Total asset turnover is high. Or is it high because I have a lot of leverage, the equity multiplier? Well, it could be one, two, or all three. It essentially looks at the sources of, uh, let me highlight this. Sometimes I call this ROA equals PM times CAT as baby DuPont. So let's look at the number for NVIDIA. Let's look at net income. 29,760. Sales we already know, but let's write it anyway. Total assets. Ah, I have it burning in my stomach. I'm not trying to be 65,728. And total equity is 42,978. Now let's calculate ROE first. Let's see how big or low that number is. Now these guys made almost $30 billion in the fiscal year that ended January 2024. Divide that by total equity, 42,978. That's a pretty high number. I mean, 70%. So if my company says my return on equity is 70%, I want to know where is that 70% coming from. So let's get PM. 29,670 divided by sales, which is 60,922. That's almost 49%. So a big component comes from there. NVIDIA makes a lot of money per unit of equity because it makes a lot of money per unit of sales. TAT, we already have it, but let's calculate it anyway. Sales over total assets. That's a little bit less than one. In fact, that helps reduce the, on the other hand, EM is total asset over total equity, or 1 plus net equity. That is, let me see. Because NVIDIA has some leverage, it kind of enhances their return on assets. And given these, I can calculate ROA either directly it's about 45%, or I could multiply TM and TAT. They're not exactly the same number because of the round-offs. So return on assets is about 45%, and return on equity is 70%. But most of that is coming, what you want to call, uh, from PM. In general, shareholders like ROE to be much higher than ROA. If you're making money, remember, leverage enhances your returns. But if you're losing money, it helps killing you. NVIDIA is making money, so as a NVIDIA shareholder, I would want NVIDIA to be even more leveraged. In fact, they're taking steps for that. They're going to do about $50 billion in share buybacks. That means they're going to reduce their assets by that much, but they're going to also reduce their equity by that much. But when you, if if the ratio of two numbers are greater than one, if you reduce both the numerator and denominator by the same amount, that ratio increases. Okay, so 65 over 42 is what, 150 something. But if I did 15, I mean, let's do 40. Let's take out 40. 25 over 29, 25,000 over 2,500. That's going to be over 10. So next year, you can expect ROE for NVIDIA to be much, much higher. Why? Because a lot of the assets of NVIDIA is in cash. Cash doesn't earn much. So instead of cash earning 6% at most, give that money to me. I can reinvest it back into NVIDIA or do whatever I want. Now, let's talk about the growth ratios, and I'll send you guys home. Uh, there are two types of growth ratios. One is called internal growth rate. This is the maximum growth achievable, assuming ROA stays the same, using only internal resources.